Welcome. Today we have a great interview with some amazing people, Dave Eshelman, Clay Ramsay, who are a part of this new series on National Geographic about the Stanford Prison Experiment and talking about the truth about uh, this experiment, what went on. Welcome today for News by Muse. I'm glad to be able to talk with you both. First thing I got to get off right at the bat. What made you want to do this back in the
Back in 71,
Yes.
I was in it for the money, such as it was,
Mhm.
because I was about to begin my freshman year in college, and it was August, and a part-time job would have come in handy, but it would have been so short. And then suddenly there was this ad in the newspaper about something that would last only 2 weeks, and it was to study prison life, and it was room and board, and $15 a day. And $15 a day in 1971 was real money to a student.
Yeah.
So it was very simple.
Mhm. Dave?
Same with me. Just looking for another job to supplement my job as a pizza cook
Mhm.
at a local restaurant. And I had no interest in prisons per se. I lived on the Stanford campus because that's where my father taught.
Mhm.
And it was just a nice way to pick up some extra money.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And it's a very fascinating series and a very fascinating look into the psyche of when people are placed into these situations. What, I mean, the experience must have been tough on both of you. Uh, what was that experience and what did that do to you during the time you're going through it? And let's start with Dave.
I'm going to say I'm not going to call the experience particularly tough on me. Unlike the prisoners, I was, by the way, randomly selected to be a guard. I had told them I really would rather have been a prisoner, but we had an 8 hour shift, and so we did our 8 hours, and then we went home and reconnected with life. So it wasn't nearly as tough as it would have been for Clay.
Mhm. Clay?
Um, and on my side, I didn't come in on the first day.
Mhm.
So I also didn't get this, the maximum dose.
Mhm.
Um, I was an alternate when one of the prisoners had something that appeared to be a nervous breakdown at the time and was pulled out. And so I came in and took that person's place. So the experiment was 6 days long, and I was only there for 3 days. Um, and it was extremely stressful because I had to understand that this was really not anything like science as I understood it. This was not an actual experiment. It was some kind of uh, psychodrama. And remember, there was no reality TV at that time. If this happened, anytime in the last, say, 20 or 30 years, people would go, this is reality TV, or this is like reality TV. But one reason that the experiment, I think, remains famous is that it's an ancestor of reality TV. And it had that kind of grainy visual impact on viewers. It's slightly addictive to watch.
Mhm. Yeah,
A little bit like Big Brother. Huh?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like I'm looking at it and I'm just like, because I was born in 75, so I don't remember I wasn't born during that time, but I see it now. And you're right, it's kind of like that reality TV type of perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it's one of those things where it's like any reality to show nowadays. It's like you, you don't want to be, the whole point is not to be in those type of environments in society. Like you don't grow up and say that I want to try this because it's a prison experiment. You want to stay away from prison.
Yeah.
But also too, it kind of gives a good perspective on what humanity is like when put in these stress tests.
Yeah, but another similarity it had with reality TV is that we've all come to learn is that it's not real at all. I mean, it's orchestrated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not like you just put animals in a or bacteria in a petri dish and see what happens, because I had instructions from the researchers to do certain things to the prisoners, and I had my own, shall we say, I wanted something to happen. I really wanted to help the researchers prove what we understood they wanted to prove.
Mhm.
And so I went all out to make it happen. It was not a natural reality type of a thing. It was, I've often said it was good theater, but it was not good science.
Yeah, yeah. Clay?
Um, I can't, I really have to second what Dave is saying.
Yeah.
There was really no, uh, there were no controls. That is, for example, if the guards had been told to behave one way for 3 days and a different way for 3 days, that would have been like a control where you have something to compare to something. Um, there is nothing like that in the way the experiment was set up. Um, it's just an effort to get very strong reactions out of people by pushing them as far as you can go without yourself getting in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Zimbardo was conscious of this. And the book that was written more recently by Thibault Le Texier, and which is now out in English, is based on the archive of the experiment and goes into extraordinary detail about how much this was faked as far as science goes.
Mhm. Yeah. But there ever a time where it came close to where Dave, you may have accidentally wanted to hit a prisoner, and Clay, and vice versa, you want to get back at them, at the guards,
Mhm.
because of the way the tension that was mounting? Because I would think that, like, for myself being there, there's a part of me that would say I want to defend myself if somebody's going to go that route, and vice
Right.
versa. But is it ever to that point where it almost came to, I guess you could say, fisticuffs during this time?
Mm. I can answer that, Clay, unless you'd like to. But
No, you go ahead and then I will.
well, luckily, there no fisticuffs ever broke out. We never actually had any physical violence. I think that at least the professors were very clear that we were not to use any kind of physical force. And that being said, even though I was putting on this giant act, I was doing everything I could to really rile these people up and intimidate them, and maybe seeing how far I could get before they would swing back.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I guess we should be thankful that it never came to that, but it may have been close.
Mhm.
I don't know.
My understanding is that it was something that Zimbardo specifically wanted were middle-class participants, and all white male participants. And so that leaves out all kinds of possibilities. If someone who was even just, physically larger than any of the people who curiously wound up in the experiment had been there, there might indeed have been somebody. It wouldn't have taken all that much to take a cell apart, to keep going at the door until you knock it down, for example. Um, what you need is a guy who plays halfback. And there wasn't anybody like that in this experiment.
Fullback probably would be better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But, and before I let you go, I really want to ask you, now that we're in 2024, when you look back at this, what were some of the things that you took from this experience? Clay?
Well, I understand that to another person, it would seem like the 6 days of the experiment are the thing. But to me, it's the approaching 50 or 60 years of this as a cultural object that keeps getting replayed and replayed and replayed, that has had far more effect on me. And it hasn't been done well or honestly, or I'll say artistically in this case, until now, until Juliet Eisner's documentary. This is a really terrific film. It is extraordinarily edited by Mohammed Al-Monastrell. It is much more engaging than, sort of the average B+ TV documentary than you see. It moves fast. It has more ingredients. I had lower expectations, though I was very much in favor of doing it. I didn't think it would be so good as it is. And so that's been really the sort of the coda that rounds this whole experience off for me, is to be part of something that I think is going to have a lot of value. I mean, I think people are going to be watching this in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's my time for today. Uh, Clay, Dave, thank you so much for stopping with us. Really I enjoyed talking with you about this. It's very fascinating. I loved the 3 episodes I've seen. I'm looking forward to for everybody to see it.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Take care.
Pleasure.